This video has a hidden key for the deluxe edition of Marathon. Find the 3 parts of the code and redeem it on Steam. I'm not kidding, Bungie sent me the code for the game after I bought the game, so I have no use for it. The 3 parts of the code will appear in chronological order, so comment down below if you find it. Now, let's get to the video. I've been playing a lot of Marathon lately. Actually, saying that I've been playing a lot of Marathon, it's a complete understatement. I've been obsessed with this thing. Usually, when I go to the gym, I listen to some music or a podcast, but since this game was released, I've been listening to lore videos, guides, and streamers reading patch notes. I haven't been this excited about a game since Splatoon 3, and that's one of my favorite games of all time. This game is consuming me. So naturally, I've made a gyro aiming layout for it, and that's what I wanted to nerd about today. For those who don't know, gyro aiming is a feature that allows the motion sensors present on most modern controllers to emulate a mouse, allowing you to use the right stick alongside the motion sensors to look around and actually aim without the necessity of aim assist. This is much more precise than just using sticks, and there's a ton of options to customize your experience, like changing the behavior of the right stick, fine-tuning the dead zones and filters to increase stability, changing button binds, and even the way you hold the controller. Just a quick disclaimer, I've been playing every game that I can with gyro for years now, so it became second nature for me. But I'm nowhere near as impressive as other gyro players like NoMiss and iHeartScope. These people have been playing shooters their whole lives, so I might have a lot of experience with gyro, but not so much with online shooters because I just didn't grow up with them. My point being, the skill ceiling for gyro is really high, but it will take practice, even for me. So hopefully these settings and explanations will help. I left a link in the description with instructions on how to import my layout so you can go along and check if you want to make any changes. As you can see, I rebinded every button on the controller to a key on the keyboard. This game doesn't vibe with gamepad and mouse inputs at the same time, so that's what I had to do. Because of that, the button prompt on your screen will appear as keyboard and mouse keys, and some actions will be assigned to different buttons. Like giving up after being knocked down used to be on the west face button, but now is the right bumper. But I'll talk more about that later. Next, I calibrated my preferred sensitivity. Gyro has a thing called the natural sensitivity scale. You know how mouse players will measure the sensitivity based on the size of their mouse pad? Like how many centimeters do they have to move to do 1/360 in-game? With gyro, it's the same thing, but instead of measuring distance, we will measure dots. Now, don't ask me how these dots work because I'm not sure. What I know is, if properly calibrated, setting the sensitivity to 1x will make 1/360 of the controller equal to 1/360 in-game. Of course, no one is supposed to do a 360 like that, so let's increase that. I like to play with 4x or 5x, depending on the game. But there's a problem. The faster your sensitivity is, the wobblier your aim becomes. We can minimize that by decreasing the vertical sensitivity. For me, decreasing the vertical sensitivity to 30 or 35% is already enough to almost completely fix this issue. But there's another thing we can do. Dead zones will completely stop gyro from inputting really small movements. You can see I'm not using dead zones because it can create a skipping effect in the game. And I'm already confident enough to just not use them. Instead, I'm using the gyro precision speed, which will filter small movements, making them a bit slower instead of completely stopping them. So much better. The next important thing that I did was decreasing the sensitivity when aiming down sights. So when I press the left trigger, the sensitivity will decrease by 50%. I'm still experimenting with the slider, so I'm not really sure if this is really the best ADS sensitivity for me. After controlling or recoil, you might want to reposition the controller. That can be done by holding R3. Like I said before, some actions are assigned to different buttons, and nowhere this is more obvious than the thief's drone. With my layout, you will ascend with the south face button and descend with L3. Also, interacting with things now requires players to hold the west face button instead of just tapping it, because otherwise you can easily reload your weapon instead of opening doors, which got me killed a few too many times. Menu navigation with my layout is completely different, and it might be a deal breaker for some because there's just no way around it. You need to use gyro to navigate menus and use the right and left trigger to select and move stuff. Unfortunately, you need to do some really light presses to not hold items when you don't mean to, which is really annoying. And another annoying thing is that the east face button doesn't close menus or the map. You need to press start or select again to close those menus. I know this sucks, but that's just how it is. Also, pinging locations on the map requires you to press the D-pad up because that's the ping button. Now, here's a cool thing. You know how PC players can just flick quickly to the direction that they are being shot at, while controller players have to slowly move the camera with the right stick? Well, what if the right stick quickly flicked to the direction that you pointed? That's basically FlickStick. With FlickStick, you can't really look up and down, so that's why you need to use it alongside gyro. And you can also move a little slower by putting the analog forward first and then sweeping to the angle that you want. There aren't that many settings to fine-tune with FlickStick, but you can increase and decrease the flick time, for example. But the one that I actually use the most is the sweep tightness. Decreasing this will make sweeping smoother. I usually decrease this because it allows me to track targets with FlickStick, which is rare, but it makes it possible, you know? All of this bullshit would be much easier if this was a native feature in the game, but unfortunately, console players can't gyro aim, at least not in this game. And I am not super hopeful that we will see gyro aiming in a future update or something. The Marathon dev team, however, is paying close attention to the community, so if there's enough demand for this feature, the chance of being implemented would be much higher. So comment down below if that's something you would like to see in a future update. Now, do you want to know something funny? When Destiny 1 released on PS4, one developer implemented gyro aiming, and they said it was working flawlessly, but when the game released, it was nowhere to be seen. The dev didn't know what happened, and we don't know what happened. So Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 and now Marathon could have had gyro aiming from the beginning, but somehow this feature was taken from us. Now, I understand that playing such a hard game with gyro aiming might not be everyone's cup of tea, so if you want to try gyro aiming on an easier game, check this video, I'm sure you won't be disappointed. Shout out to my Patreons, William, Orlando, Christopher Fox, Tena Oath, Easy, Ars Poetic, and Oryx Gazella.